everyone, Sandy here. Welcome back to part 3 of my Christmas Dreams book box tutorial for Country Craft Creations. Today we're going to, I've already cut my pattern papers. We're going to glue our pattern papers into the inside of our box. I will have to remove this screw out of the knob, put the paper on, and then put this back on, and then tie our closures in so that we can fasten this up. And I'll also pattern the outside bottom. And so the base of the box at that point will be done, because there's no decorating that we do on the inside because the album's got to fit in there. I do want to check, grab my Halloween one and make sure that this current box fits this album. That would be terrible. Yes. So we will be making the same size album later on in our tutorial. Of course, not today. Today we're just going to put the pattern paper in and on the outside of the box, and should have time to go ahead and get that lid on so we can add that curved piece too. So you pick out the pattern papers you want. If you're using the Christmas Dreams, this is what I used. For the inside, I'm going with this really pretty kind of gold looking with the starburst. It's the back side of these moons and angels. So I did cut 2 that are 7 3/8 wide by 2 7/8 tall. And then I cut 2 that are 8 7/8 wide by 2 7/8 tall. That's what I'm starting out with. Dry fit them. If I need to trim them down a little bit, you know, based on your box and your construction, that's fine. I love these Christmas ornaments on this paper. This is the prettiest arrangement or colors. It just speaks to me. So this is going to be the inside of my box when you take that album out, and this is what you're going to see in the bottom. And this piece I cut to 7 3/8 wide by 8 7/8 tall. So it's going to look so pretty in the bottom of this box. Okay. Then for the outside back, you could put white, but I don't want it to get dirty. I cut this piece because this is going to match the lid, okay? And so this one is cut at 7 7/8 wide. Let me get in the frame here, by 9 7/8 tall. So that's going to go right there. Now, I am not inking my papers because I'm using white. I don't like to ink when I have white for my base because it can smear on my white, and I don't want that. So I am going to use Art Glitter Glue. I'm going to put this piece on first. Okay, so you see it's got a little bit of the white margin all the way around. So see if my glue starts for today, and of course it does not. Glue and I, we love each other. That's always clogging up in there. So let's see if I can get it to go. May have to stop and do some cleaning of my nozzle, even though I had the pin in it overnight, or since my last session. It is a little bit cloggy in there. I mean, I can get the pin in and out, but I'm not getting any glue on it. Okay, so I decided that I just don't have time right now to go and clog it, so I just grabbed a new bottle, which was right here by my table. So I'm starting out with another. These are the little 2-ounce bottles. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over and get this on here, and then I'll move my trimmer out of the way. I'm going to center it about the same amount of spacing on the edges here. I'm going to burnish this down with my hands to kind of warm up and spread out that glue. Try to not have any wrinkles. But the the Country Craft Creation papers are pretty thick, and so I don't usually run into that problem, especially if you burnish really well and smooth that out. So isn't that a pretty paper? I just love this. Came from the coordinating pack that comes with the prints, but you can order extra. I ordered 2 extra ones of this. So that's the bottom of the box. I'll flip it over. Let me move my trimmer out of the way because I have limited space here under the camera. I'm going to make sure I'm staying in frame for you all. So next I'm going to put my Christmas ornaments into the base. And make sure that that fits. Yeah, I like it really close in there. You can trim it down a little bit if you want. And this stripe on the back is really pretty too. So I'm going to put my glue on. Wouldn't it be nice to start with a new bottle for every project of glue and it just smoothly comes out? But I can clean that nozzle on that other one and it's okay. It was probably getting kind of low anyway. So make sure, pay attention to my direction here, and remember it goes right in to fit perfectly in there. So I'm just going to get it all in there. Oops. There we go. The corners on the edges. And we're going to burnish in there. And see, make sure it doesn't go over the fold here of your door piece. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I love it. I want the shorter one here. Okay, now we're ready to put the sides on. Before I forget about it, let's take this handle off. You just unscrew it and then pop that screw out and lose it. But it landed on my keyboard table tray down here. Yay. There we go. Right there. Okay, so let's do this one. And make sure I'm going in the right direction. Okay, and make sure it doesn't go over your fold. If you cut it to the size I gave you, it should be fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's get our glue on that one. And then we can put the knob back on. To my direction, this should go this way. I love that with the gold in there. That's so pretty. And we're going to burnish that one. And let's let it dry a little bit before we put the knob in. So we'll go ahead and do the other side back here and check it. It's going to be a pretty tight little fit, but I think it works fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get my glue on it. Probably need to put my fine tip on. To my glue bottle, but I'm working with it right there. We go. So that length is a pretty tight fit. But I like it going all the way into the corners. So I'm going to burnish that. And now we need the 2 inside. Now remember, we don't have to do anything to the outside because we already did that. We've got our gold shimmer there. So let's check this. Yep, that works. Pretty, pretty. Burnish it in, and we will let that dry a little bit, and then we'll do our holes in our eyelets for our elastic. And one more. Okay. Pretty simple once we've got this constructed to finish up the base of the box. And of course, we've got to work on the lid. Okay, so there's that. Isn't that pretty? Love it. Okay, let's put this back on. So I'm going to take a piercing tool. Could use my pokey tool, but it's a little big. And I'm just going to poke a hole through all the paper right here with that little screw and just poke it down. It shouldn't affect it as the paper's not that thick. So just get it through, pop it through, and then take your knob and you just twist it back on, just like that. Kind of get it, snug it up a little bit. Voila, there it is. And I'm okay with that because I don't want that bump. So that just to me is just part of the mechanism. So we're good with that. And then now let's do these over here. So I'm just going to, through the eyelet, poke a hole. It would have been better if it had been finished on that side, but I'm okay with that. So I told you to do it too soon. But we're going to put these elastic things through. So now we're going to, I'm thinking, I can't remember, I think I thread from the front, grab it from the inside, and then just bring it, the loops into the loop. And you're going to pull that knot you made. You want to make sure it pulls through. You don't want it in this part. So you want it looped here, then your loop here, and then the last part of it is going to go like that. So you have a knot and the knot where you tied it here. So that's how it finishes, just like that. So then you do the other side. So I poke one loop in. I'm going to take this off so I can get to it. Poke one loop from the outside in. Grab that. Then bring this loop through the loop you just did. Make sure your knot that you already have clears. So it's here at the side. Pull that, and now we just loop the two, and looks like that. I love it. It's simple, it's easy, it's done with hair elastics. So there is the base of the box ready for an album. Just got to do our lid, since we'll do that next. There's the bottom. The back is unfinished because it's going to have the curve on it. So don't panic about that unless you just want to cover that with some of the gold, but don't bother scoring it because you can't see that. So see, like if it's white in there, it's, let me see, so big I can't show you. See, if it's white in there, you're not really going to see that. Okay, so I think that's going to be fine. All right, so I'm going to turn off the camera for right now. We're not done for today yet, but I'll be right back and we'll start on that lid. Okay, so for the lid, we're going to need to cut another hinge. So I apologize. None of the extras that I have would work because I want this to be wide. So this is 1.5, and I've cut it to 8 to 10 inch. We don't want a 10. We want the shorter one. We grab 8 3/4 is what it is. you want a piece that's 8 3/4 by 1 1/2, scored at 3/4. Go ahead and fold and burnish it. This is what we're going to use to attach our box. Now I have gone ahead and put tick marks because we want this on the inner side, and I put my marks because I allowed for this space here, my 1/2 inch and then another 1/8 of an inch. So I put my tick marks at, let me double check, 5/8 on each side. 5/8 on each side. And this is where we're going to put our hinge for this lid. Okay, so we need to put our score tape. So we have it folded. We're going to put score tape here on the outer edge. Now I don't have any more 3/8, or I don't have any 1/2 inch either. So I'm going to use 2 strips of 1/4 inch tape on each side of mine. So you use what you have, the sizes you have. If you have to double up, you know, a thinner score tape, then do that, because I'm going to also use probably some glue in there in between. So on each half of my wide hinge here, I am putting on the outside score tape. So first we're going to put the hinge on the lid, and then we're going to add pattern paper for the inside because it's just easier to do it when it is off. Okay, so just on one side, I've got this folded up now. I'm going to take tape off of just one side of my hinge. Take the tape backing off, not the tape, but the backing. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue in between those 2 1/4 inch, just to make it really secure. Okay. Let me take this, move the box a little bit, where my tick marks are. I'm going to put the fold of the hinge along the edge of the lid between those tick marks, so that it'll look like this once we have it on. Let's burnish that down. Make sure it's stuck really well. So now we have this. Okay, this is correct, but I put my tape on the wrong side. That's okay. Yeah, I'm going to take that off. I don't want the sticky on there, so I am just going to pull my tape off. So on one hinge you put it on the inside, 1/2 of the hinge you put it on the inside, on the other one you put it on the outside. So I've got some sticky there. I'm going to cover that up with some paper to fix that, so hang on just a second. Okay, I apologize for that. You want your score tape to be on the outside of 1/2 of your hinge and on the inside of the other half. So this is where I pull the tape back and where I have some sticky tape on. I just cut me a strip of paper of scraps that is 3/4 wide by 8 3/4 tall. And that's how I'm going to fix it, because I don't want it sticky there. This is what's going to be exposed on the inside of my spine. So I'm just going to cover this up, push it up right up against that chipboard lid, and it'll be fine. And it gives me an extra thickness on my hinge, which is okay. So now this is the outside where it will attach on. This is the inside. So this is where I want a piece of pattern paper that I have cut, and I want it to match the inside. So this one is 7 7/8 wide by 9 7/8 tall, and it's going to fit right over that hinge that we just attached down. Not over the fold of it, but just down on the hinge. So I'm going to put my glue on. Now, you use any of the patterns in the collection that you like. You know, pick out your favorites or color tones that you like to use for your box. Or if you're using a different collection, that's fine also. This is the Christmas Dreams by Country Craft Creations. So I'm going to line this up on the side here and at the bottom pretty good. And then we burnish that on with my hand. Isn't that pretty? That is just so pretty. I love that gold in there and the stars burst. Get this really burnished on good. If you have any corners that didn't maybe get enough glue, just go ahead and add a little more. You don't want anything popping up on you on the corners. Okay, mine looks like they're good. So I'm going to burnish it some more. Now see, this will attach, the hinge will attach to the outer part of the lid, and then this will hang on there like that. So now let's go ahead and put our pattern paper on the outside of the lid, which is going to be, for me, this lettering here. And so this one is cut for the outside of the lid, 7 7/8 wide, same size, 9 7/8 tall. So I'm also going to use glue on it. And line this up. It's just easier to do it before we actually put the lid on. Now I have a little more space here, but that's fine because it's going to be overlapped by the spine piece. That curved piece is going to come over there. So make sure this is laying nice and flat and burnish it down. Now then we flip it over. This is the top. This is the inside. We need our score tape on this inside section here. So let me get my score tape going here. Again, I'm using the 1/4 inch, so I'm going to put it right here up against it. And another one, and then I'll use glue in between. Okay, let's take our tape backing off. Grab our glue and put a little bit of glue right in between those score tape strips, not on top of them. If you put it on top of your score tape, it will make it come loose. You don't want to do that. So now, turn this so that this hinge fits. You want your box lid flush to the back side, and you want that hinge to be right in between. And then you're just going to flatten it down here on the back and burnish. Okay, I'm going to let that dry before opening it. Let that glue dry and make sure you burnish it really well so that score tape will attach. So there's our lid. And now we're going to get ready to start working on our spine piece. So you want this curved piece that's kind of curved. I've lined mine with some of the gold to kind of hide some of that wrinkly. This is the piece that I'm going to cut for this. This is what I'm going to use to cover it. Now I cut mine at 7.5 wide by 9 7/8. In the guide it's going to say 6.5 because I think that's the size you need, but I cut it wide to make sure first. Don't want to make a mistake. And this is where we need our two 10-inch by 1.5 inch hinges. So we're going to let this dry for a minute so we can check it, open it up and check it, and then we'll start working on this other part to get this box finished. Okay, so we let the hinge dry out here for a bit, and let's see how we look on the inside. So we take our elastic off our pull knob here, and we pull it down and open it, and there it is, nicely attached. I like the how it fits really nice. Got a little overlip here like it should. So yeah, that's the lid on the inside. So now let's go ahead and close this back up. We're ready to put our curved spine on so that it looks more like a book box. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we have our paper that we're going to use on the outer part of the spine, which is going to be this back side of this one. And again, I cut mine to 7.5 just to be on the safe side, because I want to make sure that it wraps properly. I still feel that maybe this is, well, I didn't double this, so it should work because we want it strong enough so that it doesn't bend or anything. So we move the box out of the way. We have our two 1.5 inch spines. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach a hinge to each side of our rounded spine section, and then that attaches to the book box. So we definitely want our score tape on the inside of our hinges. So I'm going to do that. Just thinking with my brain, making sure I'm doing it right this time, not like I did a few minutes ago. So we want this. I'm using my 1/4 inch. You can use a 1/2 inch, would be good to fill in all that space. But I'm going to use the 1/4 inch, 2 on each section of the hinge, and then I will put some glue in the middle. So I'm doing that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on both hinge pieces. And we're almost done with the construction of our book box. All we need to do is to decorate on the front. And I don't know if I'll be doing that before or after I do the album. I haven't decided yet. But for today, we're going to get the box finished with all the pattern paper on it. And then we'll probably move in, skip a day or two, and so I can work on some other projects, and then we'll start on our album, Christmas Dreams album that will fit inside the box. Okay, so there we go. One more piece. Okay, so let's burnish this tape backing down so that we can get it off easier and it sticks good. Okay, so let's take the backing off only just 1/2 of the hinge. Okay, and then I'm going to put some glue between the score tape. Now I have some score tape sticking out here on the side, and I'm going to just take my fingers and fold it in. I got it too close to the edge, and I don't want sticky hanging off, though it's going to be covered. So let's put some glue, whoops, between the score tape, not on it, but between it. Take our curved spine, and with the fold of our hinge right on the edge of that spine, and we're going to fit it on there. It's just a a little bit shorter the spine is than the actual, I mean not the spine, the hinge is just a little, so I'm going to come off the edge just a tiny bit. Match it up down here. There we go. So we burnish this down. So that we have this attachment like that. Okay, now we're going to do it on the other side as well. So on the second hinge, go ahead and take the tape backing off on just 1/2 of it again. So what this does is giving us an extension to attach to the front of the lid and to the curved spine. So I'm going to put some glue here in the middle. And not on the score tape, but just between the two pieces that I put on here. So take this and line it up again. Whoops, right on the edge. And the fold of the hinge along the edge of the curved spine piece and burnish that. So now we have two wings like this with our curved piece to attach it to the box. So let's get our box, and I'm just going to check it and see. I want to make it curve some more. Do that. So it's going to attach to each side like that. Okay, and then back it up. And I'm just making sure that it's going to curve around right. Okay. All right, so let's put it on the front first. Let's take our tape backing off. And I'm going to go ahead and do the glue again in the middle of the tape. And then I'm going to put some like right here along the edge of that chipboard some. Just to make sure it stays. So I'm going to turn this the best way that I can see it. And this is going to line up here on the bottom edge, so the lip of the chipboard lip of the spine touches the back here. And I'm going to turn it and make sure. Oops. I have it right. Back here. Make sure on both sides it's lined up. Okay, there we go. Got a little mark there, but I'm going to be putting some decorative stuff on there. Okay, so burnish that really well. Okay, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to press it, and we're going to do the same thing on this back side. Okay, so let's take our tapes off. And that wrinkled that up anyway in there, but I just think maybe the darker color than the white, you won't see it as much. Okay. And some glue between the score tape. Just a line of glue, and then a line of glue along my chipboard here. And then we bring it over. And we're going to press it down, and we're going to line this up on this one side, chipboard to chipboard. Same over here on this side, chipboard to chipboard, and we press this right here, and we burnish. Okay, so now you see we've got the curve of a book. And now all we need to do is add our patterned paper. Okay. So I'm going to look at this and see if I cut it too big or not. So yeah, I've got it. You know what? I like the 7.5 better. And because it comes off of that hinge piece, so I'm not shorting myself. And I am going to go with that. I'm going to change that on the cutting guide. Let me pause just a minute before I forget. Okay, so there we are. We've got this on. Now I'm going to tell you honestly, this one, I thought it wasn't going to be big enough with a big enough curve, but it actually is bigger. Why? I don't know. Has a bigger opening here than this original one. I think maybe it's the thickness of the chipboard. I'm not sure. I know that you could bring it further over, but then you're going to have a ridge. And I didn't want that. So I'm okay with it. Just don't compare it to the other one. So you see it there. Now I'm ready to put this on. And I'm trying to decide. Now I am leaving it at 7.5 wide so it can go over about 1/4 inch over the hinge attachment. And I'm trying to decide the best way to put this on so that it stays nice and smooth. So it can be glued. It can also be used score tape. So it's not going to be bending except for right there. So I'm thinking I'm going to put score tape on the edges, the wide score tape, and then I'll glue the rest inside. And this is the pattern I want showing. So this is where I'm going to be putting my score tape. So I'm going to grab my, what is that, 1 inch score tape? And I'm going to put it here on the edge. Make sure I am not overextending it because I don't want any sticky stuff sticking out on this part. So let's get this on both sides. Okay, I'm not going to put it on the ends though. I think I needed to. Okay, we got that. So let's burnish that down. Let's take the backings off. And now we're ready for the glue. Glue along the top edge, glue along the bottom edge. Right there, I missed it. And then glue along this part here. Okay, wishing me luck. I guess it's good that I'm doing it first instead of you. Okay, take this. I'm not going to let it touch down yet. I'm going to about 1/4 inch over where the hinge is. Stand up, make sure I'm getting it straight. This is pretty important. Of course, I'm going to add some trim. Okay, so right, whoops. I don't like it when I say whoops. It was off a little bit. Right, there we go. Okay. Got to be straight or it won't wrap around straight. So there's that. Okay. Wipe the glue off of me. And I'm going to bring it around to the other side. Catch it down. And then burnish it with my hands where I've got the glue. Okay. Looks pretty good there. There's our wrapped. And now we're ready to decorate. Haven't decided yet just what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause this right now and then come back to that and decide if I'm going to decorate now or later. I've decided to go ahead and do some of the decorating because that's the fun part of a project, and then skip a couple of days, do some other projects, and probably start on the album for this. So first thing, what I've done, I had already planned this. I took this pattern paper from the collection with the pink Christmas tree and the churches. I just love it. And I fussy cut out of one of them. So I've cut loose, what I call loosely fussy cut around the trees and the tops. So this is definitely going to go here on the front of the box. Okay. Now, my covering here is not as smooth as I would like. I mean, it's smooth, but when you lift, it does have a little bit of a buckle. I was going to put laces on anyway, so I've gone to my extensive box of pretty laces that I kind of hoard. And of course, you're not going to find exactly the same. And I am going to put lace on my spine. So I think that one, and I really love this gold. And I want to try to do a double layer somehow of the gold on this. Now, how do I put my laces on? I use art glitter glue, and I use a baby wipe to wipe up, gently wipe up any glue that oozes through, or paper towel, whatever I can, cloth, whatever I can grab. So this is, I'm going to put that on. I think I'm going to go ahead and put my image on so that I have it where I want it, because I'm going to build up around it with flowers, and I'm going to use a die, I think, to punch out some poinsettias. So I have these pretty leaves and these roses here. So I'm going to take my glue. Oops, not that one. Well, maybe that one. Get the other one. This is the one that was clogged up, and I changed the tip. I haven't tested it out yet. So I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to put it on the back of my fussy cut out image, all the way around the edges. Go ahead and get this on there so that when I start putting my lace on, if it overlaps into the image, it'll work. The lace will go up underneath it if it needs to. So I'm going to kind of put it almost centered, almost to the far right as I can. Just kind of lay it in there and burnish it. Make sure it lays down good. There we go, like that. So I'm not going to be doing the decorating details all in the video. I will share with you what I've done when it's all finished, but I did want to show you some of the adding of the lace. So I want this to go into this right about here. Okay, so I'm going to cut my piece. Now you can leave it a little long and trim it off, or you can cut it to fit. So let's see, about even. And I need my sharp sewing scissors. I only bring that out for lace, so let me grab those. I only bring these out if I'm cutting lace, because if I leave them out here, I might grab them for paper or something and glue, and I don't want that. So I trimmed off the lace to fit here, and I'm going to take my glue and I'm just dotting it around where the leaves, different places of the lace are. It's pretty delicate lace, so especially on the edges where it's going to lay down. You want to make sure you're getting some glue on it. And this can get kind of messy, so I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'll have to wipe my table off. Whoops, here in a bit. And I know I could use score tape, but where this curve is on there, I don't like the sticky part of the tape sticking through. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to pick this up. See, I've got glue all there. I have to wipe all that off. I'm a messy glue crafter. So this is going to go, whoops, make sure I've got the glue side down. Yeah, there we go. I've got glue on both sides a little bit. So I want a little bit of this to go into that image. And I want this to stick down right here along the edge. Okay, so now this is where I start pressing it in. Now if I have some that sticks over too far, I will trim that off with my sharp scissors after everything has dried. So quite a bit of glue comes out through the holes. But I keep pressing in, lifting some of it off. So this sticks out a little bit over here. I will trim that off after I've determined whether I need any more glue or not. So that works pretty good. So you're going to have to let that dry. Now let me clean that off, make sure I got all the sticky off. The gold lace, I'm going to have to decide on that and see what I want to do with that. So I want to pause and look at that. You see how it's made with the netting? This is a pretty, pretty lace. So I'm going to decide on that, how I'm going to do that. So let me look at it and then I'll show you what I do. Okay, so I measured off a piece of the gold. I'm leaving it long on the ends. And I will trim those off. I also went and put glue on the ends of this lace and I trimmed this one off here. I'm still messing with that to, you know, add glue to it on the end if I need to and trim a little more off on the end after it's dried, just like that. And then I kind of use the glue to finish that edge. So this one's going to go on here. I want it to kind of match in with the scallops of this one. And I'm going to drop it down just a little bit. And I'm going to bring it over here. Now, what I did is I trimmed off a lot of that netting because I don't think we need that. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to start adding some glue in different areas here. Not all the way to the edge because it's going to stick out. And I can always add in more glue as I need to. I'll make sure I get it on that gold part and then some of the netting. And yes, I've got a piece of plastic here underneath on my table a little bit. Try to help with this gluing. Okay, let's see how it's going to do here. Look at all that glue. Ugh. Okay, messy. So this is going to go right about like that. Let me wipe some of this off of my plastic sheet and so I don't get it on my book. Clean that up. I have a glass mat I probably should use for some of this. Okay. So let's start pressing in where the glue is so that it starts sticking down. And sometimes I have to use my fingers too because some of it's gonna pop up, especially right in there. The great thing about art glitter glue is it does dry clear. It's a little hard. These really sheer laces can make it a little bit of a challenge to get it glued on there. You've got to have enough to hold it. So I'll come along and probably put more on than I think it's going to need. Let's see here, stamp one. Right here on the edge. We're going to have to let it dry. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. And then I'll come back through. See, like right in here, press it down or add some more glue where I think it needs it. Okay, I just want to share real quick while it's drying that I went along and put quite a bit of glue after I cut it along all the edges. And I just keep tapping it in to let any loose strings and stuff. So it looks really messy with the glue, but it will dry clear. Everything should turn out just fine. I've put a double layer of the gold, so I have scallops down here underneath that you can't see, and it's got quite a bit of glue there. So all of this has to dry now, and hopefully most of it will be stuck down. I love this pink with it here on the front. So I'm going to turn off the camera right now, let all this dry while I play around with some flowers. Now I'm going to die cut with the Heartfelt Creations poinsettia dies that I purchased from Country Craft Creations, and I believe they're still available in the store, so you can check that out. I'm going to punch out some of those in the gold and maybe in some of this pink or the blue color, probably the blue color. And I'm probably will have a separate video on shaping the flowers. Right now I'm just cleaning glue off my fingers. But anyway, that would be a separate video of what I create with the flowers. Of course, I've got the ones here I want to use that came with my design team kit. So yeah, I'm going to get all of that ready. I'll do a separate flower shaping video, and then I will show you exactly what I've done here on the front that I got finished. So I may add some more lace on the back. I'm not sure yet. So I've got double layer of this gold here. I've got the scallop here, and I've got a scallop here on the kind of the where it starts going around to the back of this. And I'm going to have to let all this dry. And so while I do that, I'll work on punching out my flowers. So this is not the end of the video. I will come back and show exactly what all I've done with the decorating, but that completes making our box, and we are ready to start on the album next week. And like I said, my spine here is bigger. I think it's because of the thicker, and the other album, I believe it was thinner chipboard, and I brought it over further, but I did want this whole image. So you can play with your curve of yours, adjust it however you need to. If you need to make it smaller, do that before you attach it to your book, and just play with the size of your curved spine on your book box. Okay, so I'll be back in just a few minutes here on the video, but it'll be a little bit while this all dries and show you the finished book box, but I will have a separate video for making your own flowers with die cut flower pieces. Okay, so that's it for right now, and I'll be back in a little bit with some extra video added on here to show you what I've done. My book box is all finished and decorated, so I'll go over it real quick with what I did. First, I glued down this piece of pink lace trim that I had in my stash. Then I glued this real sheer gold lace, actually 1, 2, 3 pieces of it, also some pink here on the back. Glued it down to cover that spine up area. I love how it turned out. Then I took 2 pieces of real wide white satin with gold ribbon and threaded through this spine here and tied it together right here. And so it made it wider, give it that crisscrossing look, and covers any of that puckering that I didn't like there in the inside. So now you don't see that. So that ribbon goes all the way through. Then I tied some of the pink trim here on this. I dovetailed the ends of the ribbon. There's 4 of them. And then I tied in some loops, 2 loops of pearls. because I just thought that was pretty, hanging down like that. Then I fussy cut out this image from the paper. I showed you that. Then I fussy cut the Santa and the reindeer from the one of the cut-aparts. I made the poinsettias. I made a large and 2 small, and I will have a separate video showing you how I made mine. So that'll be a technique video. They'll be separate. I'll upload it after I finish uploading this one. I cut this metal piece in half with my Tim Holtz scissors. You can cut metal. I just went from one corner to the other and glued those on. And then I glued a little bit of this lacy gold trim underneath the 2 small poinsettias. I used those Prima roses. I added some of the pearls in here, those leaves from Prima, and then I glued in some loose pearls, 5 of them here throughout the arrangement. So I love how it turned out. So there it is on the side. And I'm going to set it aside. Next we'll be working on the album. Got to have a couple of days break from that. I thought this one would be up yesterday, but things happened, and so it's not going to show up until here later today or even tomorrow, during the weekend. So I'll be doing the album next week unless I have to go out of town. There's a possibility I may have to go out of town with my husband, out of state for a quick road trip. If I do, I may get part of it done, and then we'll have to we'll work it in. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this video for you. This is part 3, and so we are done with the box. As you can see, it's all done on the inside, ready for our album. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Click on the bell so that you'll get a notification of the next video. You'll also be notified, should be notified when I upload the one on how to make the poinsettias, and then when I start the album. So you want to be notified of that. If you haven't clicked that bell, just check your subscription and see if you can still click the bell. You should be able to. Share my videos with others and click like so that I will pop up in the search for other people who are looking for a project to do. So anyway, oh, and I did glue a little snowflake rhinestone thing in clear flat back gemstone right there on top of that Christmas tree. I thought that was pretty. And I did use some of the Nouveau Crystal Glaze on some of the places here for the snowflakes along the roof line and in the trees, just to kind of give it a little glimmer, and on these poinsettia, the berries. So hey, that's it. I love how it turned out. Can't wait to see how the album turns out.